Right, welcome back. We continue with more news now as the week ahead continues. COSATU will from tomorrow until Thursday hold its 14th National Congress at the Gallagher Estate in Midrand. The Congress will convene under the theme Build Working Class Unity for Economic Liberation Towards Socialism. Perhaps for this and more, joining us for discussion on this is Dr. Levi Ndau, political analyst. A very good afternoon to you, Dr. Levi. Thank you for joining us on the SABC.
Good afternoon to you, Lizen. Good afternoon to the viewers at home. Thank you for having me.
Let's get straight into the conversation. I think as we look at the relevance of what is transpiring, given what's happening from as of Monday until Thursday, what would you say is the relevance of trade unions in today's society, just given some of the socio-economic challenges that we face as a country?
Well, I think workers' federations and unions remains very relevant in South Africa even today. The workers in South Africa and elsewhere still face the challenges of exploitation, the challenges of working long hours, the challenges of receiving very legal salaries, the challenges that relates to the relationship between them and the employers, the challenges that relates to leave days, and many other rights associated with workers. You have a situation where ordinary workers would not know about their rights at the workplace, and you need to have unions or union leaders to be able to educate these people about their rights, what they should do and what they should not do. Equally, you need unions that are progressive, unions that will not discourage workers who are doing well, unions who will make sure that workers are actually doing what they are employed to do. You need unions that get worried when their members are actually not delivering as expected. If you take it to local government or any other sphere of government, you need unions that must encourage workers to be responsive to service delivery issues. When communities are angry that there is no proper services that they are receiving, it should be a worrying factor to unions that their members are letting society down and they're letting the unions down, because these are the people that are at the forefront of service delivery. When we have at municipal level citizens complaining about poor services, you need unions who must go back to their workers and say, we are being pointed at, and the blame should come to us as unions that our workers are actually not performing as expected. That should be the role of unions and their impact in society.
Well, Dr. Levi, on the back of that, you've spoken about the importance of workers understanding their rights, as well as unions allowing their members to be progressive. You've also now spoken about the issue of service delivery and performance at large. The 14th National Congress of COSATU comes at a time where the unemployment rate is extremely high. And I wonder, can the Congress come up with tangible solutions given, the state of the country at this point?
I think the unions have got a very important role to play in the development of the country and also in shaping the direction that the country is supposed to take. Unions in South Africa, especially COSATU, that is in alliance with the ruling party, the ANC and the ACCP. In my view, you need to have COSATU that is able to take resolutions at its conference that should fit within the programs of the ruling party and, of course, those of government. You need COSATU that is progressive, that must say, our role as workers in South Africa is developmental, and we must provide government with people or members who are service-driven, who are supposed to do or work in the interest of both the Union and South Africans. And that is why my argument would be that we no longer need unions that will always be focusing on negative things only. Yes, of course, there are instances where unions will always be worrying and be at loggerheads with the employers. But when there is no time, or at a time when they are not fighting or arguing, you need to see a union saying, this is the role that we are supposed to play in society, and people should see a union member wearing a uniform with pride, that when we see these people, we see service that we have to receive as ordinary citizens.
So in their preparation statement, then COSATU says it will be spending the next 4 days allocated to the Congress to deal, with the effects of a stagnant economy, the nature of work, and also the need to invest in skill set of the future. We're looking at the trajectory of the world. There's the fourth industrial revolution that is taking place. And obviously just so that people can not only find work for today, but also, prepare themselves for the future. And is 4 days enough to deliberate on such complex issues? I'm just looking at the issue of skill set alone. The theme is about building working class unity for economic liberation towards socialism, which speaks to, ideology. And I wonder in this capitalist society how possible that is.
Well, 4 days would be enough for a national conference to discuss these issues. Remember, these are issues that have been discussed already from at branch level, at regions, and with a number of interactions that takes place amongst members of the party. These are discussions that are actually ongoing. What they need to do now at conference in the next 4 days is to sit down and then consolidate what has been discussed long time ago at different levels. And what they must do after this conference is to come with a clear program of action on how they're actually going to respond going forward in ensuring that what they actually agreed upon has to be implemented. Equally, trade unions are also politicized, and their existence is actually based on an ideology. They need to see society moving towards a particular direction. There is always an emphasis of a socialist approach, the left idealism that you always hear from the workers. And now that we have got a lot of capitalist tendencies, that is where you are then able to get workers bringing in their own socialist and leftist expression. Because in the view of the workers, their main enemy is capitalism, and they would always try their best in whatever they do to challenge the status quo and want society to move towards a socialist system. That is a fight that workers have been engaged in for a very, very long time, supported by communists and other sectors of society, because they feel that through capitalism, exploitation and sufferings continue, and that is why in their own minds, they would want to see the nation moving more towards a socialist system in which they feel that they are going to be much in control and they'll be in charge of the means of production.
Well, there's lots coming through and will be coming through as of Monday, again, as COSATU will be hosting, its National Congress, the 14th edition at the Gallagher Estate in Midrand. We'll leave that conversation there with you, Dr. Levi. Take a quick ad break. On the other side, obviously, you're going to be back because we're going to be chatting about COGTA will also be hosting a 2-day summit starting on the 27th and 28th of September. So we'll be right back. Do stay tuned. Right, welcome back. The week ahead continues. We return to our conversation with Dr. Levi Ndau, political analyst, to discuss and perhaps turn our focus to the Ministry of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs, as it will also be hosting a 2-day summit. And this is in keeping with the constitutional mandate. Dr. Levi, thank you for joining us once again. As we shift our focus now, I wonder if you could just speak to the state of municipalities currently and what are some of the more worrying concerns displayed as we lead into the elections come 2024?
Well, in South Africa, we have got different models of our own municipalities. Our metros, our districts, and of course, local government. What appears to be a challenge with our municipalities are the obvious and the usual issues that relates to, in the main, revenue collection, issues that will then relate, which is linked to the actual service delivery. When municipalities are not able to collect revenue adequately, it has a potential to affect how they actually provide the same services, because they actually need financial resources. And some of this has to come from the people themselves. But another very big challenge that is faced by municipalities in South Africa, it's a matter relating to capacity. Capacity at an administrative level and capacity at political level. There are reports that are quite worrying that were presented by government just before the local government elections. And some also came now after the 2021 local government elections, that we have got a lot of councillors who are illiterate. And that then talks to the level of, or the kind of people that are supposed to be serving the people on the ground. If they cannot read and write, it therefore means that the work of the municipality or their work has the potential to be negatively affected. There has been a report that spoke to some councillors having come forward, and I'm happy that they were courageous now to say we need to be capacitated so that we are able to go through reports, so that we are able to make presentations, because that is one area that is worrying. But there has been a general issue that relates to service delivery. And this summit must then be able to say, we need to be able to build capacity in our municipalities so that everyone or every community is able to feel the existence of local government. And we have got a lot of areas that do not feel the existence of local government because they don't see anything that is actually coming. So the summit must then be able to identify all the challenges that are there in local government and then be able to come with a plan on what is it that they're supposed to do best in order to make a difference in people's lives.
So let's look at that plan and what could be feasible at this point. How can municipalities play a role in the economic development of South Africa, where, from the summit, one of the key factors is to emerge is about ensuring there's a collective program of action to enable this ideal municipality, that can strategically demonstrate in the pursuit of long-term development. Practically, what does that look like? How so?
My view is that government has to encourage municipalities to start with the basics. And the basics will be to develop clear plans for municipalities, which are obviously in line with what government intends achieving. The challenge we have in South Africa is that South Africa, dynamic as it is, challenges facing municipality A might not be the challenges facing municipality B. So at a local level, municipalities themselves should be able to develop their own plans, having identified their challenges, develop their own plans, then make sure that there is a budget, and then come up with a short, medium, and long-term goal in terms of how then they can be able to deal with the immediate challenges that they actually face. Yes, of course, there are general plans that can then be developed at national level. Local government must then be able to say, how do we then fit into the general plan of local government, so that as a municipality, we should actually be relevant. But more importantly, municipalities should always be seen as responsive to the day-to-day challenges that ordinary people face, especially on matters relating to the provisioning of basics. Municipalities must be able to be the champions of ensuring that basics are actually being supported. So this summit must capacitate municipalities, must capacitate administrators in ensuring that indeed they are able to deliver and live towards ensuring that their responsibilities are actually being met.
So, Dr. Levi, on the back of that, when we're bringing the idea of the district development model, it looks at the theme, in fact, which says the district development model in action towards an ideal municipality. Does this then speak to the ordinary citizen at large? Is this going to effectively help service delivery?
It does. It talks to the cooperative or cooperative governance in South Africa. It talks to mainstreaming the responsibilities of local government, so that across the line, all those that are serving in local government are able to know and understand the mandate that they actually have. It also talks to ethical leadership at local government, but in the main, focusing on the developmental agenda that the local government is supposed to be doing. So it requires a mainstream and a proper framework on how these people are supposed to fit in and ensure that the work is actually delivered as expected. But more important, it will still require the change of mindset, especially from those that are given responsibilities to run government, that municipalities in South Africa are supposed to be results oriented. Everybody who is serving in the municipality should actually be knowing that on a regular basis, there are certain things that I'm supposed to mark and say, we've been able to achieve this one, we've been able to achieve this one, because it's supposed to be results oriented. What we need to get from those that are elected to serve in local government is that as they get out of office after 5 years, they should be able to point at certain areas and say, these are the areas that we'll be able to achieve in the 5-year term period that was given to us.
Well, Dr. Levi, thank you very much for joining us here on the SABC ahead of COGTA convening its local government summit that's set to take place this week as well. We'll leave the conversation there. Take a quick ad break. There will be more news and updates on the other side when we return. We'll be right back.